Hello and welcome. We are going to make some kimchi today. I can't wait to share this with you. You could start this today in your house. All of the ingredients are very typical ingredients you probably already have on hand, and your microbiome is going to say, where have you been? How come you haven't been feeding me this all along? I'm Annette Reeder from thebiblicalnutritionist.com, and it is always my joy to serve you God's recipe for excellent health. And never, ever, ever forget the number one ingredient in God's recipe for excellent health is that God loves you. He loves you more than you could ever imagine. He's loved you from the moment of conception. And no matter what we have done, God forgives when we just go to Him and ask. So please join me as we make this kimchi. To make our kimchi, we're going to use bok choy today. Now that we have it all chopped up, I've already put 1 tablespoon of salt on it. We're now going to add some lemon juice. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. To this, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of ground ginger and also some chopped garlic. Then we're going to add a 1/2 cup of red onion. We're going to add 1/4 cup of chopped green onion. And we're going to add some carrots. And this is going to be our kimchi mix. I went ahead and put it in my crock pot just so I could stir it up a little bit better. And a crock pot, if you have a small crock pot or a large one, this is perfect for making any of your fermented vegetables, and especially for just stirring it up. So now that we have the salt on every one of the ingredients, we're going to let this sit for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to come back and put it in our jars. I just want to make sure all of the vegetables are being touched by the salt so we can start pulling that out and making a really good brine. Now we're going to go ahead and pack our kimchi into the jars. Now what I want you to realize about kimchi, it can be a mixture of almost any of the vegetables. Kimchi is just fermented vegetables. That's all it is. So your choice can be just as good as this choice. So I'm going to go ahead and use my canning funnel and start spooning this in. You can see the juice drippings off of that. Means it's working perfectly. We want that juice, and I'll go ahead and pour that on top of this too. And so I definitely want to make sure I am tamping it down, because I want that water expressed out of those vegetables. And the more I tamp it down, the more it's going to force that water out. And that's what the salt is for, is to pull that liquid out of the vegetables so we get a fermenting process started. The brine juice is so important. Okay, let me add some more vegetables. Again, push it down as hard as you can. And now that I've been tamping that, and just keep going around until you see it start to splash and you can see the liquids in there. That's what we want. That's exactly. So I want to keep tamping that down until that liquid gets over the vegetables. I'm going to go ahead and fill this up. Now, if you make more than you can eat, even though it's going to take, anywhere from 3 to 10 days, that's okay. We can always water bath can this. So just get your Ball cookbook out. If you don't have the Ball book, I recommend it. I'll put a link to it down below. It tells you how to process anything for canning. It is definitely a cookbook that you want to have on your shelf. Now, don't forget, you want to add any kind of seasonings that you want. Celery seed is really good. Chives is excellent. Now, we already have green onions in here, so we may not need the chives, but chives still add a nice pizzazz to it. So again, I'm going to do some more tamping until I get a really good liquid on top. Now, if you're going to just use this as is, and you don't have the specific tools as far as fancy lids, fermenting lids, that's okay. what you want to do is you need to weight this down. And so sometimes I've just used a canning lid, just a small canning lid, and put it in there. Sometimes you can even use lettuce leaves. You need something, and then you're going to put a weight on top of it. You can buy weights. So if I use this and put it down like that, I would then put a weight on top of this to hold it down under the liquid. So that leaf right there is going to help keep it down as well. Keep that cabbage, keep whatever vegetables it is under the liquid. The liquid always should be sealing up the top. I can leave it like that. I can still use a store-bought canning lid. These are the Easy Fermenter. I'll put a link down below. Or I could go back and use a towel. Some of my kitchen towels, I could then just put a cover over that and put either a rubber band, or like I did in this jar, I just use one of my canning lids to hold it in place. So a lot of different options. You don't have to go and buy anything. You could use a paper towel on this, just put a rubber band around it. That is to keep the dust and the bugs out. And so otherwise, the goal is just this: keep it under the liquid. And then in 24 or 36 hours, start tasting it, see how you like it. When it's to the level that you want, then go ahead and refrigerate it. And it doesn't stop the fermenting, it just greatly, greatly slows it down. And that way you'll keep the taste factor that you like. And if you're using one of these bought lids, you would just move the dial to the date. And if you are using this quite often, you're getting in and tasting it, then they have an oxygen remover that you can use to pump the oxygen back out that got in while you were tasting it. There you go. Well, here we have our kimchi. Again, it's kind of too pretty to eat, but I know you're going to enjoy it. And most of all, realize you don't have to eat very much. A tablespoon or two a day is all your bacteria need to just say thank you. And they will thank you with giving you B vitamins. They will thank you with paying rent and helping the fiber to process, to help your digestive system to move along. And we need fermented foods in our diet every day. And this does not cost you anything unless you're going to buy the fancy lids. Otherwise, you already have jars. You have those mayonnaise jars and maybe some spaghetti jars. You could use those. You have towels, you have paper towels, and you could just go buy some cabbage, which is typically the cheapest food in the produce section, or start growing it yourself when the season is right. You can do this. You can do this. Feed your family well and let them experience just the benefit of having happy moods, happy digestion, happy bowel movements. We'll just say all of that by eating fermented foods. You deserve it. God's recipe for excellent health includes fermented foods because they did start to ferment foods back in biblical days. So it's just a blessing to be able to serve you God's recipe for excellent health. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to reading your comments.